Denise Nortez is an actress who has appeared in several classic films. Sidney Lumet directed her in The Wiz. She worked with Joel Schumacher in the movie Flawless with Robert De Niro. As a singer, she performed with the Mongo Santa Maria Orchestra, which celebrated her Cuban culture. In addition to acting, she always considered herself a storyteller. "I have spent my entire profession looking for ways to tell my stories," says Nortez. 6 years ago, she met with someone who worked at a radio station. "I was so excited to sit down with him," says Nortez. But he asked her just one question. "Who is your target audience?" She was disappointed, even a little angry. "I feel that everyone is my audience," she shares. "I want to tell my stories to everybody. Why do I need a specific audience?" I thought, this man obviously knows what he's talking about, but I was still frustrated. As much as she wanted to share her stories, she didn't feel she had the tools to birth them herself. So she let her dream fade away. However, 2 days into the pandemic, she felt a strong pull to put her stories in a podcast and tell them her way. She longed to find a venue for them where she would be at the helm. "I kept trying to get hired for someone else's vision. But I thought to myself, I need to put my vision on video and in a podcast." Nortez thinks of herself as miles away from being tech-savvy. "The technical side has always been way out of my reach," she shares. "Especially making videos on my own." However, she thought of how she was always making self-tapes for auditions. So when the pandemic came, she got inspired to use the time to study Google YouTube tutorials on how to make videos. And she got full-on creative. "At first I had no idea what these tutorials were talking about," says Nortez. Yet even though she was so discouraged, she also told herself that she would watch these tutorials until something sunk in. Nortez sat in front of her computer with a stack of index cards. She watched the tutorials on her computer's desktop so she could see all the buttons being pushed. "I used the index cards like little maps, drawing circles and arrows to represent what I was supposed to do," she says. "When I got lost or didn't understand something, I would rewind and start over again." She spent time meticulously looking up anything that needed more clarification. "There was a lot of stop and go," she says. She took careful notes on Final Cut Pro X, iMovie, YouTube, and ordered a microphone. Gradually, more and more, she understood the video tutorials. She also told herself it was okay not to be perfect. "I knew the videos I created were not up to my standards, but if I waited for that to happen, I knew nothing would," she says. After making several videos, Nortez also felt a pull to also get her podcast up and running. She discovered that she had already taught herself the tools to produce and edit an audio recording. Nortez leaned heavily on her newfound skills. "From YouTube videos, I learned how you need an opening or introduction, the story in the middle, and an ending called post-roll." She recorded her shows and added music. And with that, she had a podcast, Denise Nortez, Close Up, where she tells stories about her life and acting career that has spanned multiple decades. Her husband, Michael Weiner, is the inspiration for many of the episodes. On her YouTube channel, she tells stories from Bible. "The stories that I share are very comforting," says Nortez. "As a child, stories from the Bible taught me all about people and human behavior." Nortez looks at these stories for comfort and spirituality, for people to feel a sense of peace. Many folks who hear about people who like the Bible think of the kind of people who are sanctimonious and cut off. But I see Bible stories as wildly dramatic, sometimes scary, and even extremely humorous, absolutely downright funny. After all, the stories are about humans and allows us to be real. People are funny. If Nortez could tell her younger self anything, she thinks of what people have told her for many years, that she should create things herself. "I just didn't believe them," she shares. "I was always waiting for someone to hire me. I thought that is the way you go in order to accomplish getting acting roles. I really believed that only the big movie companies like Paramount or MGM were the way to go." But with her newfound can-do spirit, Nortez feels unstoppable, with her podcast or acting work, or with the independent film Tribeca Sandwich, directed by Patrizia Iuliacci, produced by 7E Entertainment. "Individuals like myself can get good acting parts by making productions ourselves with talented collaborators," she says. "I want to spread this excitement to other artists.